Let us briefly contemplate desiring emancipation. I seek refuge in that effulgent being whose light reveals the knowledge of the Atman, who first created the cosmic soul and delivered to him that supreme knowledge. Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Purvam Yo Vai Vedansha Prahinoti Tasmai Tam Hadevam Atma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. It's a very ancient prayer from the Upanishads that is seeking to turn the light of one's understanding towards the greater light of reality. We will discuss today Vedanta's concept of intelligence. And where we start. It's a very vast subject. And we are just in the beginning of a revolution. I won't say a revolution, it was an inevitability. What we call it as artificial intelligence. Everything was leading towards it. And things are being hotly debated whether it's going to be beneficial or detrimental to us, its creators. It's like that Frankenstein we think that we've created. Biological intelligence took billions of years till we are right now. Artificial intelligence will far outstrip biological evolution. They say in another 30 or 40 years, it's already transforming us, but it's going to really transform humanity. That includes human mind, the way we think. It's going to transform the world. So, here we are. The next generation of artificial intelligence will be self-learning. It will learn by itself. It won't need you or previously generated data. And that is what is frightening to many. But it will greatly augment our perception of ourselves, not only of ourselves, as I said, of the world we live in, whether it's going to be a threat to humanity, whether it's going to destroy us, that is yet to be seen. One of the reasons why we need to understand what is intelligence. What is intelligence? It's a life, it's a light, it's a power. And that power is never static, it's always dynamic, it creates. The word intelligence comes from the Latin word intelligere, to comprehend or to perceive. So it's a capacity for abstraction, logic and reasoning, grasping, self-awareness, learning, emotional knowledge, planning and creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, inferring information and retaining things as knowledge. Intelligence is applied to behavior within a context. Now, let me make it clear. I never asked AI for this, okay? So we can see the scope of intelligence. And from these qualities of intelligence, you can understand it comprehensively encapsulates human life. We all take this body for granted, but it's one of the most intelligent things in the universe. How intricate it is, it's unbelievable. Compared to that, we are pretty dumb, you know? Yeah, we don't know how hundreds of intelligent systems are working together. And take, for instance, how proteins are folded. That's one of my favorite kind of illustrations. It's done brilliantly. Very few errors, of course. So nature is not just beautiful. Now you look around and say beautiful. It is intelligent. And that intelligence manifests itself in hundreds and millions of ways. I would say billions of ways. As many systems of living organisms are there, intelligence is manifesting itself in that way. So though it's one, yet it is many. And today we can understand there's a whole new field called biomimicry. We are trying to mimic the intelligent systems found in nature. And that has opened a huge vista on how nature operates. We were under the impression that it's dull, stupid, and it needs human intervention to do things. Vedanta says there are two principal ways of approaching Vedanta. One is by studying everything around, seeing that there is a kind of a display of intelligence and trying to search for it. The other is not this, not this. No, rip this body. Almost all Vedanta texts are going saying this body is an obstruction to liberation. The mind is a bigger obstruction. Do away with it. And you talk about renunciation in very glowing terms. That also is a way. But after the negation, as Sri Ramakrishna says, there will be an affirmation. We will see how it comes about. We tend to think of intelligence as connected to us. Suppose we look at intelligence independently, as an independent entity, as an agent or an agency. Then we can understand a little of what Vedanta has been trying to speak about. So from the very earliest times, we will see that these sages, they wanted to understand what is that we perceive in this external world. And various answers had been coming. And in order to fully understand it, they had to take themselves away from what is called this idea that I am a person. Anthropomorphism has been the greatest hindrance in understanding this intelligence as a separate entity or agency. It works independently. We always try to project our views on things that we perceive outside and think, oh yeah, the dog has smiles, that's my projection. The dog is happy, it's my projection. No, now it is found that it's not so. That everything has a mind. And thank God, it was startling and uncomfortable for us to think that we feel that we are the apex of everything. Nothing like that. If you still believe that, then you can never be a Vedantist. Yeah. Because what is within me has to be within all. This is one of the first steps that the sages of the Upanishads had mentioned. To understand Vedanta, you cannot kind of isolate yourself or insulate yourself from everything and say, I'm the greatest. Nothing like that. So what is here is there outside. And what is there outside has to be inside. That's why the Upanishads, in the Kathopanishads say, Yadeveha tadamutra yadamutra tadanveha. So what is there is here, what is here is there. Saying one who sees a manifoldness goes from death to death. So this world outside that we see, it's so beautiful. And I always say, it's marred by our own actions. It makes this beautiful earth ugly. Ugly in the sense of evil. Yes, there is something, but we have branded it as dangerous. But this world outside acts on the mind, and the mind reacts. At the same time, the mind acts on the world, and the world reacts. This action and reaction has been the evolution, the history of evolution of all life. So here we are, both are evolving. And when there's an action, there's always an impact or a subsequent reaction in the form of, you can say, results. This has been the eternal dance of nature, this action and reaction. And as we know, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. This has generated a tremendous data of knowledge here within us. But within this action and reaction, one thing is kind of certain, and that is the feeling of existence. I exist. This world outside exists. There's no doubt about it. Well, if you doubt, there's some abnormality. Like last time I was saying, there's something called derealization or depersonalization. When you feel everything is so unreal, me included and the world included, and I don't feel connected to anything. But that is an abnormality, not the real thing. Now this external world is acting on the mind, and the mind reacting, and the mind acting on the world. This is a world of influencing each other. But where exactly is the line of demarcation between real internal division and external division, nobody can say it. That line of demarcation moves. Yeah, we have the sense of self. This is me and this is not me. But really, if this external world wasn't there, this self wouldn't be able to survive. Clothes, food, water, everything depends on outside. And similarly, so metaphysically, the line between this internal and external is a myth. So this much is known, at least. Okay. If we can really separate ourselves from the external world, we'll be dead. We cannot survive. Yeah. And this is what Vedanta has been teaching, the unitary nature of life. If you have this here, it has to be there also. People have been seeking, what is the root of all morality, etc. And no, some God has said this, and somebody has said like that, and do it like this, and then you are moral. It's within the structure of the universe itself. You can't help but be unselfish. Well, what about selfishness? That is an illusion. And Vedanta says this individuality that you say that you have is an illusion. People say this world is an illusion. That's a misinterpretation of Vedanta. So laws that operate here operate out there also. You cannot have one set of laws here and another set of laws there. These laws are universal or uniform throughout the universe. Otherwise, we'll have trouble. We're trying to unify all these things together. So if there's intelligence here, there has to be intelligence there. And Vedanta, as we know, seeks to unify things. It's the same intelligence that is percolating in everything in every way. As I said, now try to understand intelligence as a separate agency. That it is intelligence that is evolving us. The entire biological evolution, as we said, as we mentioned, is nothing but a manifestation of this intelligence that is evolving. So if we see this intelligence all around here, then it's in the very fabric of nature, the wap and woof of nature. So what is here is there also, and what is there is here. And you could also say, take the divisions of time away. What is now will be in the future. And if it is now, it must have been in the past as well. So push this inquiry further and further. Where did it even begin? Well, it has to be in the very beginning of things. If it is in the middle, it has to be in the beginning, it has to be in the end. Something arising out of nothing is logically not tenable. There must have been something. We cannot say what it is, but we can say that, yes, it grew, it evolved, something like that. But it must have been existent in the beginning, the very beginning. And this is what the Nasadiya Sukta, one of the oldest hymns in the Rig Veda, says, existence was not then the existence that we see, nor was non-existence. The world was not, the heavens beyond were neither. What covered the mist? Of whom was that? What was in the depths of darkness thick? Death was not then, nor immortality. But motionless did that vibrate. Anidvatam swadaya taduktam, they say. That's it vibrated without vibrations. Alone with its own glory. Nothing beyond that did exist. And then it put forth this glory. So through what is called tapa. Tapa, as we say, the Upanishads also say, tasya jnanamayam tapa. That is, the austerity is knowledge. Knowledge is the austerity. So in the very beginning, there was, before even existence, that visible existence, or you can say even non-existence, there was something called knowledge, or say intelligence. That was at the very beginning, and that came out, proliferated. Now, this has been the reality. Do we really know it is? We also see another aspect of it. Whatever is intelligent is networked. Intelligence cannot, as I said, cannot remain insulated from everything in a vacuum. It has to come forth and then build networks. In fact, all living beings are networked. Everything, including AI systems, including the neurons in the brain, including those filaments that connect all the galaxies, and the veins, and the nerves, and the fungi, and the you can say nervous system, everything in this universe is networked. We may not see it, but it's there. So, another aspect of nature is its cyclic nature. So, things grow and then they exist, they transform, and then slowly they wither away and they die. But in the process, it leaves in its wake seeds of future cycles. And this has been going on over and over again. We see a tree and then we find, yes, the tree grows and then we know what it is like. It dies, leaves seeds. And from that seed, another tree grows. So this cyclic nature, this evolution is all over in all life. Every life, if any life exists anywhere, it has to follow this cyclic nature also. Birds, and plants, and bees, and animals, and humans, and everything. It will have to. In Vedanta, it is called the 6 transformations. Asti, Jayate, Vardate, Viparinamate, Mriyate, etc. So, you can understand. It's like birth, existence, growth, transformation, disease, decay, and death. This is the pattern. Everything goes along this ad infinitum, everywhere. But there's that, like I said, there's one thing that is pushing the entire thing. So you can see it in two ways. Individually, we can see that this is repeated in life. Every life follows that. And on the cosmic scale, everything follows this pattern. The suns and the moons that you see, they were not there before. They were some nebulous gases. They clump together and then they will end up like that. So this whole thing has been going on and on and on ad infinitum. Everything follows it. So just to get it, we are networked. Everything runs in cycles and everything is connected. Connected, of course. The Upanishad says, Sadeva Somya Idam Agram Asid. There was existence in the beginning, O good-looking one. And when we see this, that there was what existed, as we have seen in the oldest hymn of the Rig Veda, there was that existed motionless. And they say that. They don't say he or she or it or anything, just that. They're saying, then first desire arose, the primal seed of the mind. So that started vibrating. And which we now, the sages, they said it was the first desire. The desire of what? Of creation. The sages have seen all this in their hearts, shifting existence from non-existence. So we may think that it's a conception, it's a conceptual framework of understanding what was there in the very beginning, before all this. Because the mind has come after this first impulse. And then after the mind evolved, then came the gods. That's why the gods also cannot know what was there in the very beginning. Swami Shivananda, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, he says, in the highest states of samadhi, you can experience this. They say, the sages have seen all this in their hearts, shifting existence from non-existence. How did these sages here know that thing started like this? Because they saw it. It is an experience. All this is an experience. Okay. So, okay, mountains and oceans and rivers and streams and forests and all, they are undergoing a massive cyclic changes over and over and over and over again. It also tells us that nature is a unit. Its existence has to be one. It cannot be many. The many, again, Vedanta says, is an illusion. Okay. So if from the standpoint of bodies, all bodies are made in the same way. We've got more or less a pattern is there. Okay. You cannot be a blue whale. Okay. Oh, kind of a giant redwood. I'm a giant redwood. But that also, they have the system. But behind it is, as I said, there's intelligence. So what is on the differences on the surface are just apparent. The heart is there. Okay. So this unitary nature of life, so people want to study Vedanta, they take up a book and they study and they're saying, this is how you've got to think. Vedanta makes you think. Rather, it changes your way of thinking. You cannot be I'm a Vedantin and think the old way. the old pattern of thinking. It changes your way of thinking. So till then, you cannot be in principle, you cannot be a Vedantin. And the very first thing that a Vedanta says is not to think too much of your individuality. Now, people, they have been asked to inquire, who am I? Who am I? So, and they have missed the forest for the tree. Literally, it's an example in Vedanta, Sar. Your individuality has to depend on the universality. If there is no universal, there is no individual. So they're trying to de-emphasize your individual existence and spread it out into the universal existence. This has been Vedanta's work. And then we'll see there's a display of intelligence. Okay. Everything, as you see, the pattern. Now comes Vedanta. They kind of say. We see in this universal, the individuals, there are some who don't display all that great intelligence. There are different types of intelligence, like I said. But now and then you find some people displaying tremendous intelligence. I mean, not this ordinary intelligence. Kind of intelligence that can move thousands, millions and billions. These are the great sages and the prophets and the incarnations. It's the same human being. They're born like us, but they have gone so far away from us in the sense of intelligence. If you look at it as a kind of a spectrum, there are some people who just somehow live and they are so tired of life, and because they have not understood life, the background of all life is this intelligence. If you know intelligence, you'll know what is life. And they waste their life in running after this and that, mad pursuits, and then they find it's like Vedanta says, like the deer running in the desert for water. It sees a mirage, thinking there's water, and it runs and it gets ice. So these are people, and it's not only confined to one culture or one race or one period of time. You will see tremendous, you can say, display of intelligence. And along with that intelligence, that a great, you can say, love. It's that love that unifies us. You know, when you see this network and this cyclic nature, and it's palpably understood as when you identify yourself with others, that is a display of life and intelligence. There will come a time when you will feel identified with many people. You are growing in love. You are growing in intelligence. That's a spiritual intelligence. So these people, they had risen to such levels where they felt that every one of them, including, as you say, animals and even birds, as part of themselves. This is the level of intelligence. So it manifests as biological, moral, spiritual. Okay, I think we've got this. Now, let's go back to the idea that something is born, keeps on growing and growing and growing and growing, and then it fizzles away. And then it gets a chance to again regrow and push its limits. Our very existence is trying to push our limits of understanding, of nature, of everything, whatever you say. Where did this energy that these people displayed, these sages, these great rishis and incarnations and sages and saints and avatars, where did it come from? It must have been there, and they just manifested this whole thing. So similarly, they say this in a microscopic form, this person has done this whole thing. Now take the whole thing as a universal, you can say, manifestation. Who has done that? Somebody has pushed that entire, you can say, universal or the cosmic energies into this motion. And that Vedanta says, I'll read Swami Vivekananda's words on this, because it's very powerful. We now see that all the various forms of cosmic energy, such as matter, thought, force, and so forth, are simply the manifestations of cosmic intelligence. Everything. The very cell in your body, the tree, the whale, and everything is a manifestation of the cosmic intelligence. Like I said, think of it as a separate entity, an agency, not just connected to our brains or to humans. So he says, or we shall say it henceforth, the Supreme Lord. That intelligence is that, the Supreme Lord. Everything that you see, feel, hear, the whole universe is its creation. Or, to be more accurate, is its projection. Or to be still more accurate, it is the Lord itself. So here we see it has been intelligence that has been growing and growing. That intelligence is the Lord. Now again, the moment I say, Swami was saying that the Lord, you immediately try to kind of picture a human being. Don't do that. Because these are the limitations of language. In Vedanta, there is no such a word as creation. We use the word, but the technical meaning of the word srishti is projection. There is a projection of everything. Like we project our thoughts, and like the thought bounces and comes back, and everything is a projection. This whole universe is nothing but a projection. Of what? Of that supreme intelligence. That is the Lord. That is the reality. That is the one that vibrated without motion. It stayed there and it put forth all its soul. So this is what is creation. You know, there's a very ancient mantra in the Vedas, which, well, it's called a Gayatri mantra. They never prayed for, give me this and give me that. Give me a kind of a Rolls Royce and give me this. And then nobody prayed for that. They prayed, you know, for what? For intelligence. May my intelligence be awakened. So that was the old Gayatri. And I don't know how ancient it is. Must be 5, 6, 7,000 years. Yeah. It was discovered, rediscovered by a sage called Vishwamitra. And how did this sage rediscover this? He goes into that state of mind where he sees this. It can be seen, it can be experienced. So it is this intelligence. As I said, every cell is intelligent and everything works intelligently. It is intelligence that is evolving us. As I also mentioned, that we are pretty dumb regarding all these things, that we are not even aware of it. Systems are very intelligent. And that dullness, that we are dumb, that is because of the power of Maya. It won't let you know the agent behind the whole thing. So we started this, and Swami Vivekananda then he quotes one of the Upanishads. Tvam stri, tvam pumanasi, tvam kumara utava kumari, tvam jirno dandena vanchasi, tvam jato bhavati vishvatomaka. And he says, thou art the man, thou art the woman, thou art the strong man walking in the pride of his youth. Thou art the boy, thou art the girl, thou art the old man tottering on crutches. Thou art in everything. Thou art everything, Lord. So he's saying, he answered, this is the only solution of the cosmos that satisfies the human intellect. In one word, we are born of that, we live in that, and we return to that. So in a way, you are imperishable, immortal, eternal. Why is this all this birth and death and we are frightened? Nothing to be frightened about. Now what about this AI that is taking over our lives? Is still a threat? Once you understand the nature of intelligence, because human interventions and inventions have always had a positive or a negative impact on us. Technology is neutral, but it's the way you apply it. Once you understand the nature of this, then you will be, okay, this is how it has to be used. When you understand that this nature, which is called nothing but a projection, nature includes us, as well as everything inside, is a projection of that primeval intelligence. Then we will be able to understand that the divine nature of intelligence. And knowing the divine nature of intelligence, we will use it beneficially. But whether it's beneficial or no, it might be kind of unsettling for many people now, but in the long run, everything will be okay. You don't have to worry about it. Because that is the Supreme Lord. That is the reality. And that's why the Upanishads say, thou art that. Om, peace, peace, peace. We'll take the questions first here, and then, okay, there are people, I wish we were here. For the AI systems we create now in the next decades, we are all made up of matter from the universe, periodic elements. Can these AI systems exhibit similar sign of consciousness? That has been the holy grail of when will the machines become conscious? Why do you look? And he has mentioned it nicely, that matter, periodic table, matter has been evolving, and it has taken all these billions of years. They say it's something like 4.5 to come down to the matter that is the neural matter in the brain and this and that. So whether it will matter is nothing but a kind of a, what will I say, a thin outer coating of something essentially inside, which is moving that matter in this place. I would not, maybe, I don't know. You know, it's very difficult to predict such things. People will catch me then. Nature has evolved matter into this. Okay. Humans are now intervening in nature, like we are tinkering with genes and this and that. That shows we are also we are participants with nature now, evolving things. So we have been tinkering with dogs and cats and flowers and fruits and everything. It's we are doing that. So there will come a time when, yes, it's not the machine. This machine itself has become self-conscious. So I cannot predict whether the machines will become self-conscious. But you see, what happens is, we always talk about whether machines will become self-conscious. What does Vedanta say? Vedanta has been positing something called the Atman, the soul, as consciousness, not matter. And people have been saying, will this matter become self-conscious? The soul is already self-conscious. And it is the light of that soul, the Atman, that is reflected in material objects. So to impute self-consciousness to matter, I wouldn't put my bet. I wouldn't put my money on that. I'll put my money on that which is the Atman. Because what happens is, Vedanta says there has to be only one reality. You cannot have too many realities. And that's why Vedanta leveraged all its arguments against the Sankhya philosophy and the Yoga philosophy and all the dualistic systems also. How can you say that both are real, God and the world? It just cannot be. Say it's one. And so they say, no, this world we experience is, yeah, that you can say feeling of existence that the world exists comes from the Atman itself. That is why you see and feel that it's real, it is conscious, it exists, etc. Okay. So it's going to be an interesting time in the future. Yeah. Okay. How do we measure intelligence? Oftentimes we associate it with intellectuality, but we find people can exhibit different forms of intelligence. Is one more valid than the other? Like, yes, every form of it. Like there's now they're bringing out all sorts of intelligences, spatial intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence, and not just IQ. IQ is now, it's a very controversial, but to some people only. But then there's something called emotional intelligence and so many types. Yes, you cannot say that there is something which is not intelligent. Everything, as I mentioned in the beginning, as many living organisms are there, so many types of intelligences are there. And that's what makes us unique. There has never been in the history, and there will never be in the future anyone but you. Now you, at this point of time, are the most unique thing in the billion, trillion years, maybe not trillion, we're going too far. So that's a unique property of intelligence. It will building up systems and then keeping on building up systems. It's inexhaustible. It has to be, because it's a reality. If it gets exhausted with just one type of intellectual display, and how it can it be improved? Yes, of course. And you keep on working on it and over and over and over again. So I just read some aspects of abstraction, logic and reason, grasping, self-awareness, learning, emotional knowledge, planning, creativity, critical thinking. These are the ways that intelligence is displayed. Problem solving, etc., etc. We used to think that even a plant is not intelligent. Now we don't say that. It also displays intelligence. We think the bug also is not intelligent. Now we know that bug also shows signs of it. So think of yourself as exhibiting a unique property of that underlying reality of intelligence. Don't feel small, I am not intelligent. Find out what you're good at, and you have to be good at something. So it's like, okay. Can it be increased? Yes, of course. When a child is born, you can see, and as it keeps on growing and growing and growing and expanding, and it becomes better and better and better. That's human life. Okay. In Sankhya, intelligence, buddhi, mahat is a manifestation out of a mula prakriti, unmanifest purusha, has no desire, quality. It is said to be the silence behind. Are you saying that intelligence is purusha? Oh, purusha is intelligence. It is chit, it's consciousness. It is intelligence. So just to make it kind of, in the Sankhya philosophy, intelligence or buddhi, that is intel, or the cosmic mind, mahat, is a manifestation of the root prakriti, mula prakriti. That's what it is. This is one side. The other side is, this is nature, this is the soul, which is called purusha. Okay? Purusha does not have any desire. It does not have any qualities. It is said to be the silence behind. So the question is, are you saying intelligence is purusha? Of course. Intelligence is purusha. Okay? The light of the purusha, the soul or the atman, shines on prakriti, as I said. And this, the first aspect, I think it was a couple of Sundays ago, we were talking about creation and how the first manifestation of the cosmic, first manifestation is the cosmic mind, mahat. After that, from the cosmic mind evolved the universal sense of I. That's the reason why everything that is living has to have a mind. Everything that's living has to have the sense of I, including that bug and plant just talking about. And from that universal sense of I, then arises all matter and all its transformations. So when you try to understand Vedanta, especially in Eastern philosophy, the first manifestation, the universe arises from the mind. In every other system of philosophy, matter first, and the workings of the matter gives rise to the mind. Now the gut is the second brain, and the skin also is called a third brain. But those guys are saying, no, it's a first brain. We call it an organ, don't we? But so matter and its transformation has given rise to something called the mind. It's called the philosophy of mind. So mind has arisen from matter, according to Western philosophy and Western science and Western. But in Vedanta and Eastern philosophies, can never happen. Matter has arisen from mind. That is why you will never know the nature of matter. And this is the challenge Vedanta throws. You will never know the real nature of matter. Now we know 99.99% of the atom is empty space. That's what we've been talking about. And they thought it was such a huge, it's a fundamental reality. Now it's no more fundamental. So, mind first, and that mind which first evolves. What brings these two things together, we don't know. We cannot go and say, hey, we know that. There is something called in physics now, they call it the brains, like membranes, like curtains. They are hanging down in proximity, close to each other, and they touch. And in the places where they touch, there is something called the Big Bang happens. So there are many Big Bangs happening in these massive brains, B-R-A-N-E-S, from the membranes. So there's huge thing. So this creation has been going on and on and on. So somehow the Purusha, the soul, and Prakriti, nature, they come together, and then there is an interaction. Now nature, what happens is, thinks it is the soul, and the soul thinks it is nature. Yeah, I am fat, I am thin, I am this, I am that. Who told you all that? Well, I can see myself. You can see yourself, but you're a soul. That's a mistake. That is what brings them together. All philosophy say it is that ignorance, ajnana. Okay. So Nancy, that's a very nice question. This question was that. Obviously, she must have done a lot of reading in philosophy. So these two things come together. Consciousness in Sankhya philosophy, consciousness and matter. Okay, they come together. Not this matter, very subtle matter. And from there it starts evolving. That's the first impulse. Okay, so intelligence is there. What we can do is, for the home crowd, we can go down to the basement and have a QA there. Just before we go, next Sunday we have the 3 levels, okay, with the 3 layers of the soul's 3 layers, okay. So we're talking about the soul. Let's see how it's layered. Like all our thoughts are layered, our life is layered. So soul also is layered. Wednesday we have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, 7 p.m. Thursday 7 p.m. towards the Goal Supreme. That's a online class given at the retreat. Chunilal Bosu, that's a householder disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, that will be taken on Friday 7 p.m. Mother's Children, of course, is there on Friday. We also, on the 14th, as I said, we have a Mother's Luncheon at the Tapovan Retreat. It's a whole day potluck program. We have invited Swami Medhananda of Hollywood to come and deliver his talk on Holy Mother. It's a very beautiful topic that he has selected. We also want to mention that Global Vedanta, our online magazine published from here, is available for your reading. Go to our website, you can download it also. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.